Breaking news. The Department for Work and Pensions is under fire for its handling of winter fuel payments, and the latest developments are igniting outrage across the country. Liz Kendall, the newly appointed Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, has finally addressed the controversy, but her comments have done little to quell the growing frustration among pensioners. The debate is fierce, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Millions of pensioners are watching closely as the government grapples with whether to reverse the controversial cuts to winter fuel payments. The heart of the issue lies in the government's decision to strip higher-income pensioners of the annual payment, a move that's been criticized as short-sighted and cruel. The payment, intended to help older people manage heating costs during the harsh winter months, was taken away from pensioners earning over £11,500 a year. For many, this threshold is arbitrary and unfair, leaving those just above it struggling to cover rising energy bills. In an exclusive interview, Kendall defended the policy, stating that millionaire pensioners don't need winter fuel payments. But her tone suggested that change might be on the horizon. Discussions, she admitted, are ongoing, and reforms are being considered to address the growing backlash. This issue isn't just about money, it's about fairness and survival. Pensioners and advocacy groups argue that the current system penalizes those on modest incomes who fall just outside the eligibility criteria. It's a cruel irony. Pensioners who worked hard, saved, and paid into their pensions are now being left out in the cold, literally. Meanwhile, the government insists that these cuts were necessary to maintain fiscal responsibility. But how does that explain the growing number of elderly citizens forced to choose between heating their homes and buying groceries? It's a disgrace. Reports indicate that ministers are weighing several options, including raising the income threshold or even reinstating the payments for all pensioners. But the clock is ticking. Winter is fast approaching, and for many, these payments are a lifeline. Kendall's vague assurances aren't enough. Pensioners need action, not hollow promises. The government's refusal to act decisively is a slap in the face to millions who have contributed to society for decades and now find themselves abandoned. Public reaction has been swift and unforgiving. Social media is flooded with stories of pensioners struggling to make ends meet. One woman shared how her small pension disqualified her from receiving the payment, even though she struggles to pay her heating bills. "I worked hard my entire life, paid taxes, and now I'm being punished for it," she wrote. Others have echoed similar sentiments, demanding that the government stop turning its back on the elderly. The anger is palpable, and it's not going away. Critics within and outside Parliament are also piling on the pressure. Labour's handling of the winter fuel payment issue has been described as a political disaster, with some blaming it for their disappointing performance in recent local elections. It's easy to see why. Older voters are a key demographic, and alienating them is a risky move. The government's cold, calculated approach to this issue is not just bad policy, it's bad politics. Pensioners vote, and they don't forget. Energy costs in the UK are soaring, and the winter fuel payment is more than just a financial cushion. It's a symbol of respect and care for older generations. Cutting it sends a clear message: the government doesn't care about the elderly. And that message is resonating loud and clear. Charities and advocacy groups are warning that fuel poverty among pensioners is on the rise. For some, losing this payment means freezing through the winter. It's a matter of life and death, yet the government seems content to drag its feet. The government's defense? Economic recovery, of course. A Downing Street spokesperson claimed that tough decisions were necessary to stabilize the economy. But tell that to the pensioners shivering in their homes because they can't afford to turn on the heating. This isn't about economic recovery, it's about priorities. And right now, the government's priorities are shamefully misplaced. Kendall's comments have done little to reassure the public. If anything, they've added fuel to the fire. Her acknowledgement that reforms are being discussed behind closed doors is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it shows that the government is feeling the pressure. On the other, it highlights their indecisiveness and lack of a clear plan. Pensioners deserve better than this half-hearted approach. They deserve clarity, action, and respect. The clock is ticking, and the government is running out of time to fix this mess. With winter just around the corner, pensioners are demanding answers. Will the income threshold be raised? Will the payments be reinstated? Or will the government continue to ignore the voices of those who built this country? The choice is clear. Either they act now, or they risk alienating an entire generation of voters. This isn't just a political issue, it's a moral one. The way a society treats its elderly says a lot about its values. Right now, the UK is failing its pensioners. The winter fuel payment cuts are a disgrace, and the government's refusal to act is unacceptable. Pensioners and voters alike are watching closely. If the government doesn't step up, they'll pay the price at the ballot box. Time's up. It's time to do the right thing.